Hey, so I just got out of the shower, which is probably why I look so raggedy. Because I woke up this morning and I felt like shit. And I found out I actually had to shit. So my toilet also looks like the remnants of Chernobyl and probably has the same level of radiation. Also, my shower is something you don't want to see right now. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. As embarrassing as that is, I apologize for you having to deal with sick James today. But what I'm here to talk about is actually a story that happened really recently. Something that happened at my job and while I was out delivering pizzas, which is what I currently do for now. Um, and keep in mind that I hate my job. I don't like my job. Not because it's not fun delivering pizzas. It's just where I do it. Where I do it is a particularly bad spot of town. And because it's a bad spot of town, I deal with a lot of non savory people. And of course, the customer's always right. So I have to kiss ass to anyone and everyone that I see. Now, this was about a week ago where I was out delivering pizzas, and there's two stories here. Both happen at work, but both are equally embarrassing for me personally, and ask a deeper question as well. But the first story goes that I was at work and I was out delivering a pizza. It was the last pizza I had to deliver in my shift, last one of the day. Just wanted to get it over with. So I take the pizza to the resident's address, and what it seems like the place is abandoned, like no one's ever lived there before. And I knock and think about maybe I should call the customer because I don't know if they're actually there or not, or if anyone lives there. Um, but the customer opens up, and it's this middle-aged man. So I'm like, okay, well, here's your pizza. And you know, enjoy. He opens the pizza up and he says, "Where's the Parmesan?" Now, instantly, I knew that there was going to be a problem, but I tried to keep my cool. So I said, "Well, let me check and see if it was ordered here on the receipt," which probably wasn't the right thing to do because he comes to me and he says, "I know that the Parmesan is on there because it always comes with the pizza." I found out later it does not always come with the pizza. So, but I took him at his word because at the time I'm new to the job and I don't know exactly what comes with all the pizza. I just know that it wasn't ordered. So I just say, well, I'm just a delivery driver. I don't make the pizzas and I don't decide what's in there. And I don't know if there was Parmesan or not. He looks me dead in the eye and he says, "I'm 34. I know what comes in the pizza." Now, instantly, what's going on in my head is that I don't know why he mentioned that he's 34. Um, I don't see what that has to do with the situation or why being 34 means that you know more about Marco's Pizza. But at the end of the day, I was feeling a little nervous. So when I was feeling nervous, I looked at him straight in the eye after he said he's 34 and I tried to lighten the situation. Found out later that this was not actually lightening the situation. And I don't know why I chose to respond this way. But I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, "You're 34." And he said, "You're damn right." And I said, "You look good for 34." And he looked at me in the eye just like this. And he said, "Get the fuck off my doorstep." And I said, "Okay, have a good day." And I think that he assumed that I was hitting on him when I very clearly wasn't. I mean, I think personally that saying you look good for an age is a compliment. It's what people want to hear, right? I really wasn't hitting on him. I'm not gay. He also gave me a $20 tip, which I'm not sure why he did that, but he gave me a $20 tip, and maybe that's why I decided to say what I said, because I felt like I should try everything in my power to not make him angry, because he could very well just say, "Give me back the tip that I gave you." So I was just trying to get out there with whatever tip I could get. Not his tip. Well, his tip, but money wise. I'm just trying to straighten up the record here because I have had a lot of people tell me that this was maybe not the best thing to say. Me personally, I think it was an appropriate thing to say. And maybe I wouldn't say it again because I expected him to laugh. I expected him to feel complimented and for the situation, the mood to be lightened. But that was not the story at all. And that stuck with me for a bit. I drove back and I went home. And I found out later that he called the store and asked why there was a delivery driver trying to hit on him. And I wasn't. So that's the first story. The second story takes place at work. This was between me and one of my coworkers, where I happened to say something again, which I regret. And I don't really know why I chose these set of words in order to address the situation. I was meeting somebody new, another coworker, and being new to the area or new to the job, I didn't know a ton of people. So I was introducing myself, just someone around my age was there, and I reached out my hand. I said, "Hey, my name's James." Well, let me rephrase that. You see, there's some context that needs to be added here that I just remembered. One of which being that I'm in a bad part of the neighborhood. So when I'm at my work, I'm surrounded by a different set of people. And I put on a different voice to kind of blend in with that aspect. I'm a little bit more, like, "Hey, what you doing, man? What's going on?" Stuff like that. And I want you to know that it's not offensive. It's simply that I'm trying to blend in more with the aspect. Because if you can't already tell, I'm an extremely white person. And even by the way that I talk, I'm a very white person. My hair is ginger, and I don't think you can get any more white than that. So, to avoid being someone that would bring a foreign environment to a workplace, I tried to blend in more. So I began to act more, more relaxed, more casual. So I put on this voice, that I demonstrated earlier. So when I introduced myself to this guy, I was kind of in that voice. And I think it was along the lines of, you know, "Hey, what's going on, man? My name's James. What's up?" Something like that. Um, my sick voice probably isn't doing it justice, but it was along those lines. And then he introduces himself and he says, "Hi, my name's Kyle." I was a little taken aback, but I also didn't want to compromise my act, make it seem like I was any more white than I appeared to be. So I looked him dead in the eye and I tried to make up some slang that I've never heard before, slang that I don't know why I chose to use, but slang that I used anyways to address the situation. He said, "Hi, my name's Kyle. Nice to meet you." And I looked him dead in the eye and I dapped him up. I said, "You tight." I don't know why I said "you tight." I don't know what I was asking him. I don't know if it was a question or a statement. but I think about that sometimes. You tight. I don't know why I said you tight. He kind of didn't really respond to me after that. He didn't dap me up, and it was the end of my shift, luckily. So I clocked out and I went home. And the point of these two stories is that I have a bad habit, I think, that is not intentional of being someone whose natural response to things happens to be zesty. And I don't know why. I'm not gay. I have stated that before. And I don't know why that's my natural response to things. And I'm working on it. But that's a bit of an embarrassing story for me, something I'm thinking about for a bit. It's never been brought up again. I've never had to go back to that resident's house. I have talked to that guy that I introduced myself to multiple times afterward, and it's all been good. But I can only wonder what's going on in their head and what they really think of me. And I can only wonder if that guy was truly tight.